Good afternoon, everyone. Today, Ahmad Saeed, lead consultant for Oracle Managed Services at Alethea, is going to kick off the first webinar in our new Managed Services monthly education series, Lease Accounting and Oracle Cloud ERP Financials. For a bit of background before you hear from our expert today, Alethea has more than 320 professionals who provide the full Oracle suite of services across various industries, including EPM, ERP, SCM, and HCM for financial services, healthcare, high tech, and many more. Alethea is not only an Oracle partner, but we are also an Oracle ERP, EPM, and HCM customer. Because we run our business on Oracle Cloud, our team of experts is here to provide the right solutions to meet your business needs. Our managed services team is a dedicated practice of Oracle certified consultants focused on sustainment services. We're 100% Oracle Cloud focused, so everything we implement, we support, so you know you're in good hands. We really appreciate your participation in the first of this series of webinars delivered by our managed services team. We also have Joni Garner, Managed Services Finance Team Lead with us to help answer any questions from the chat after the presentation concludes today. So with that, I'll hand things over to Ahmad.
Hi, everyone. This is Ahmad Saeed, and today we have our webinar agenda is about the Oracle Lease Accounting overview, difference between lease under asset module and lease accounting module, and also Oracle Lease Accounting functionality and the new function in 23B and 23C. I'm Ahmad Saeed, and I'm an accounting professional with a proven experience. Almost I have 16 plus years of experience in Oracle financial and project accounting modules. And I'm also holding Oracle Project Implementation Specialist certification. I'm a lead consultant in Alethea Corporation in Managed Services Department. Oracle Lease Accounting. This is the new model Oracle introduced like a few years back. The new accounting and reporting standard of IFRS16 and ASC842 disrupt the world for leases. The new lease accounting product responds to these changes by helping user compile with the new standards. Once Oracle contract is defined, lease accounting will provide touchless capability to manage the processes lease and helping you compile with the two accounting standard, which is IFRS16 and ASC842. So the next, we also have lease accounting under asset module, and the new module is also Oracle Lease Accounting. What's the difference between these two lease accounting? So the mainly difference, Oracle fixed asset lease, payment to one supplier per lease, where in Oracle Lease Accounting, ability to use multiple supplier per lease, like rent to owner, insurance payment to insurance provider. So you can use like multiple supplier per lease. Second thing, the demand difference is no inbuilt ASC842 functionality, where on Oracle Lease Accounting, you have this inbuilt representation of the accounting standard 842. Under Oracle fixed asset lease, it's automatically integrated with the Oracle asset module. So once you define the lease, it will automatically create and transfer asset to the asset module. But in the new module, Oracle Lease Accounting, there is no automatic integration with Oracle asset. So the asset will be handled under the lease only. OK, Oracle Lease Accounting functionalities. So we will go through each of the function which we have and different screens in this Oracle Lease Accounting functionalities. So the first step, you will see the main page, which is overview page. So the lease contract is organized under 3 tabs, which is overview, asset, and payment tab. The first screen you are seeing is the overview tab, where we have the different lease details. What is the business unit and legal entity, and what is the status of the lease? Under lease details, you will see the lease number, lessor, who is the lease provider, and what type of lease is it? It's property lease or equipment lease, and the accounting classification. In term detail, you will see like when is the start date of the lease and end date of the lease, and what is the sign date of the lease. Amortization, when the amortization will start. So the starting date is for the amortization start date and the amortization end date, and what method we will use. And second, the discount rate, which is mean like what is the interest rate on that one. So the second tab is the tab of asset. It will provide the asset information for the like property contract. This include information such as tenancy date and location. For equipment contract, this include information such as item, model, number of units, and location. It will give you the like asset number. What is the asset number? What is the type? What is the actual start date and end date? And the location and asset status. Third tab is the payment tab. So this is the payment tab, display payment details, including like disbursement schedule and accounting treatment for the payment. This information like the what is the purpose of the payment, what is the payment type, and it all default from the payment template, which is created in the backend, one of the setup. And also to which this payment where it will apply to which asset it will apply. So for example, if you have different asset under one lease, so you can create a different payment and apply to the asset as well. In the payment details, like you will serve the payment purpose and payment type, what is the asset number, which currency and conversion rate. And also you will give the supplier information. So what supplier, who is the supplier of that one, and the supplier info, supplier site, and the payment term. And accounting treatment, it will use like right of use and the liability and intercompany. These check both like if you want to create accounting for these like right of use and liability and intercompany value. All right, so once you give all those information to generate the schedule, so the cash flow expenses and balances are generated for all the amortization period of the lease during the activation process. The liability, the obligation, and right of use, like lease contract, contractual right, because our balances are calculated as the present value of the net cash flow using. The borrowing rate of the lease captured the contract, and the liability and right of use are amortized to the zero over the amortization period. Provide the interest, amortization, and lease expenses values in the amortization schedule. These schedules are generated through the action button on the lease contract. The only interest calculation method is daily compound interest. Right now, Oracle we have only one interest method, which is daily compound interest. So this is the liability amortization. Once you generate it, it will give the details. What is the for which period it is, like the accounting, the schedule for which period is it, and also what is the opening liability, payment amount, interest expense, closing liability, what is the closing liability for that period, and right of use, what is the right of use amount, and amortization amount, and close right of use amount. This screenshot we implemented for IFRS16 right of use, like we implemented for this accounting standard, not for the ASC842. This will provide the details for each period throughout the lease life. Accounting and activation. So the final process for that one will be the final step of the booking process is activation. How to activate it? You will just click and activate on the process, and it will create the accounting entries. So the booking entry will be created. So when you run the create accounting, it will create the booking entries. So the entries, if you see here, like the class amortization, which is debited, and with a different like USD and Euro, if you have different currencies. And second, the lease interest, which is also debited, and the account you give like on the payment tab, with that account it will be pickup. The third, you will see the accumulated expenses, so which is credited. So we have a detailed report, which will give like lease detailed report, a detailed report of the payment and amortization down to the asset and payment level, and available after the contract is activated. On this detailed report, you will see like different information here. What is the business unit, operation, legal entity, ledger currency, lease number, lease name, and start date and lease end date. Also, you will see like the payment amortization summary by currency, where you will see like for the opening balances, payment amount, interest expense, and closing liability. And the right of use amortization, you will see the opening right of use and amortization expenses and closing right of use. So these will be provided in the lease detail reports. So once it's created, like activated, we will generate the invoices. Create invoices automatically in payables for payment processes. So once you like run the processes, it will, if the payment is approved from the lease accounting, if you see the approval status, if it's in draft status, it will not pick up. But if it's in approved status, it will pick up and also automatically launch the import invoice process from on payable side, and it will create the payable invoice there. On this screen, if you see here, there is like three different payments. So one is for cleaning for the same lease, and one is for common area maintenance, and the second is base rent. So this is property lease, and they're making like three payments to the same supplier for the same period. What is business benefit included in this one? So it increases the control of payment to lesser by authorizing and paying only approved amount from the lease, which I mentioned, like if the status is not approved, it will be not created. Reduce effort to pay lesser through the automated integration with Oracle Payables module. And second benefit is improved transparency with the payable invoices initiated from lease accounting visible on the lease side. Lease amendment. The next function we have like discussing the lease amendment function. Amendment to contract include creation of new version of the contract. So whenever you do the amendment on the lease, it will create a new version, which will like provide the difference. You can measure it like for in the first version and the second version. The amendment type like scope decrease, scope increase. These are the types. You can increase the scope of the contract or decrease the scope of the contract. Once you like increase or decrease the scope of contract, adjusting accounting balances for the contract automatically will be done, and it will help you to maintain the audit changes as well. If there is no financial information is changed, like no financial information is changed on these amendment, so there is no changes like to recalculate the balances. What is the business benefit in this? Reduce time and effort to perform an amendment, provide complete audit history. Like whenever you do the amendment, it will create a new version for that. So it will help you in the audit history. Better transparency with the access to prior version of the leases, and automatic accounting for adjustment to right of use and liability balances. So if you decrease or increase the scopes, it will automatically calculate the balances. Lease cancellation. So lease cancellation, if it's the lease in the draft mode and it didn't occur, and you try to cancel the lease, there is option we can cancel these lease. So the lease administrator can cancel any lease in the draft status only. If it's activated, we cannot cancel the lease. It will only like the limitation is here. You can the status is a draft, then you can cancel the lease. So the lease status move the cancel lease and the lease become read only. So once you cancel it, nobody will have the access. It will be only in the read only status. These milestones. So you can track different milestones on the leases. So the lease administrator can capture milestone for lease, asset payments, and option. Each milestone have associated with date, notification date, and responsible user. If you see here, like I created few milestones like the option exercise. I assigned to this one Smith Hill, and milestone is pending because the trigger date is not come yet. So once it's like created the notification, if the date is due, then it will automatically send notification to the assignee, where it's like saying that this option, like the milestone is coming up. If you see here the next screen, like if you see the upcoming milestone, this is the dashboard where you can see the lease exercises here, like what is the milestone number, type, option, and object number this, and to whom it's assigned to the user, and milestone is still pending because it's the due date is not come in. It will automatically, like if the due date is come, it will automatically send a notification to the user, and that will help you like help with the capture the milestone on the time. The business benefit of lease milestone tracking is like improve communication of impending milestone, and the second is like maximize profit by meeting all milestones. Lease right and obligation. This is another function where you can track your rights and obligation. Capture lease right obligation, like right or entitlement granted by the lessor to the lease. For example, if you have lease for the property, it will grant some right and obligation to you. So for example, you have a property lease and they can assign you a specific car parking. You can track those obligations here. Business benefit for that, like increase operational efficiency with the quick access to the contractual right, entitlements, and obligation. You will have like only on the tab you can go, you can see your what is the rights and obligation for that particular lease. Lease impairment. Oracle also provide information like you can track the asset impairment here. If you see in the screen, it will give the details like you can capture the impairment details here. It is based on the like percentage base or on the amount base. So you can capture like both on the percentage base and the amount base. The value of those assets associated with lease may fall below their fair value or recoverable amount. So that's why we have that function as well. The impairment transaction capture the right of use balances automatically once you give that information. The history of impairments or amount is available on the asset tab under the lease. So if you go to the asset tab, and you will see the impairment details here. The business benefit with that impairment, a more accurate reflection of the company lease asset, compliant with IFRS16 and ASC842 lease accounting standard, audit and history of all impairment on the leases. The new option came recently, which is lease supplier amendment. Lease administrator can use the amendment process to change the supplier and create adjustment or issue a new payment for a payment made before the amendment. You can change the supplier on the lease. So if the lease, like for example, you first you originated with the one supplier and later on it transfer to the another supplier. So Oracle provide the functionality so the lease administrator can go and change the supplier on those leases for the payment. Business benefit in that one, streamline lease amendment when change the supplier, automated process to reverse payment to hold supplier and reissue the new supplier. Audit and history of all the supplier changes on the leases. So these are the benefit like for this functionality. Right, so on this one, the lease accounting dashboard, we have different information and provided on that dashboard. You can easily access all the information related to your lease. So on, for example, the lease booking information here, like requiring attention. So for example, you are importing or creating some leases, and if it's require any attention, if it's error out somewhere, it will show up under this tab. Recently finished lease. So for example, you finalized the lease and it's finished and you activated that lease. You will see all the information over here. Import exception, if you are importing lease through OBDI or APDI template, if there any error, it will show up under here. The second in the dashboard, we have termination and option. So if you terminated any lease, it will show up under here, like recently terminated. Upcoming option, if you have option, like for example, you have property lease and you have the in August, next August is coming, and it will be increase the rent, a base rent for like $100, and you created option, it will show you like upcoming option on for that particular lease. And any approaching like expiration, all the information if like lease is expiring soon, those leases will show up over here. The next on the dashboard, we have like payable transaction require attention. This one is here, like if there are any payable transaction which is error out, you will see all those information where the require the action for you. So like if there is any exception, it will show up here. The next we have like lease milestone. Any milestones, so we discussed like in previous slides where you create the milestones. So recently notify, for example, if the milestones comes and it's no send a notification to the assignee, you will see here the notification to which is assigned and the status of the milestones. And also it will send the notification to the user. Upcoming milestones. So for example, you have future milestones. It will also capture those information over here. So in the future milestone, you will see the upcoming milestones. So this is the dashboard Oracle provide for the those like quickly access different information of the leases. The next slide, we have 23B new feature, which Oracle introduced in 23B, giving the short-term and long-term lease liability. The IFRS16 and ASC842 accounting standard requires separate the lease liability in short-term and long-term for disclosure reporting. This is the new function which Oracle introduced, so you can now give the short-term, reclassify your liability in short-term and long-term liability according to the accounting standard. Short-term liability within next 12 months. So for example, if you run it for January, so within after the next like 12-month short-term lease liability. And if you run it for February, what is the for the next 12-month within 12-month short-term liability? Long-term liability classified after the 12th month. So long-term liability due after like 12 months, whatever the due amount for the after 12 months. Business benefit including this, like simplify compliance with IFRS16 and ASC842 lease accounting for short-term and long-term liability, increase efficiency and reduce the risk of manual error with automated month-in process. It will automatically like right now we implemented your screenshot. You see the IFRS16 standard liability reclassification. If you implemented that one for the ASC, so then it will show up the ASC842 standard. So the next new function, we have 23C new feature, which is revenue lease creation and activation. It's not yet implemented in anywhere. It's a new function, so it will be applied in a new patch where you can, like the previous one we discussed was the expense lease. Now you will be able, after 23 in 23C, you will be able to create a revenue lease as well. Oracle revenue lease creation. So creating a revenue operating lease for any property belonging to designated business unit. Also, it will like details of the lease, including term of lease, asset and property details, parties, billing schedule, and revenue renewal and early termination option. A lease administrator can also capture lease-related rights and obligation, as well as milestone to track important decision and events throughout the life cycle of the lease. Validation ensure all the information is correct before generate cash flow and amortization schedule. Business benefits. Okay, on this one, the new revenue lease. What are the business benefit for the business? Standardized lease information in a single repository. Complied with a two accounting standard, which is IFRS16 and AS842 lease accounting for revenue lease. Increase productivity and reduce the risk of error with automated ASC842 and IFRS16 lease processes for revenue lease. Reduce effort to bill and collect from leases throughout automated integration with Oracle receivable module. It will also give the like integration with Oracle receivable module. Improve transparency with the receivable invoices initiated from lease accounting visible on the lease. So all the invoices you generate from the lease, it will be visible on the lease as well. In the next slide, we will see some screenshot related to the revenue lease process, how you can create a new revenue lease and how we can process those leases. So creating a new, once you enable that function and do all this setup, creating new lease, you will see a lease type. You have two lease type like expense lease, which previously we discussed, and the second lease type you will see the revenue lease. If you select the revenue lease, then it will generate the revenue schedule. The same information we have here, like lease detail page, where you can see the lease detail, lease name, what is the lease name, party name, what is the customer name on this one, and what is the customer account and classification. Term start date, when the lease will start, and what is the term end date, when the lease will end, when the amortization will start and when the amortization end, and prorate method like days a month. Asset detail page. This page will give you the details of the asset, like asset overview and additional asset of like additional details of the asset. What is like asset number on this one? What is the status? When the asset start and asset end date, and asset amortization end date, when the amortization will end here. Additional detail, like what's the property name? What is the size, like unit of measure? Property type, property code, location, and you can also give the address and ship to site. On the payment details, this page will give the details of the payment, like payment overview, customer schedule, and line details. It will default by the template. If you create the template, all the information will default from the template, like the purpose of the rent, payment type, what is the payment type, like basic rent, or what is the currency on that one, for which currency you are using. Also, you can give the customer information, customer name, bill to site, to which customer it will generate the bill. Payment terms, you can give the whatever the payment terms you want. And customer account, you can on the bill to site, it will automatically consider the customer account as well. And what is the ship to site? Also on the schedule, when it starts the schedule, and what's the frequency of that payment. Payment details accounting. This page will give the details of the payment accounting combination. So for example, on the detail, like you can select the revenue and receivable. By default, like it will be from the template, but you can change on the lease as well. So if you want to give a different revenue account combination, you can come and change it. And also you can change the receivable account combination as well. The same way, like once you generate the schedule contains all the lease payment and the periodic amortization of lease and non-lease revenue. It's the similar, like once you generate the schedule, what is the period, payment amount, lease revenue, non-lease revenue. If you have any accrued balance, how much until that, how much it's accrued. Lease revenue recognition. Recognize lease revenue each period according to the accounting standard. When the lease administration creates the lease, the revenue recognition schedule is automatically generated. For operating lease, the revenue is evenly spread over the revenue recognition term. The lease revenue recognition process creates the transaction to reduce the accrued asset balance and recognize the revenue according to this schedule. On the screen, like you will see the different, like what is the asset number, payment number, purpose of the payment, rent, payment type, like basic rent, revenue method, for which period it was generated, payment amount, lease revenue, non-lease revenue, and accrued balance, asset balance. Lease invoice process. Lease invoice process, like leaser can invoice their lessees and other parties associated with their lease each period for rent, service, insurance, common area maintenance, different type of the services in, like you can generate the invoices, and other amounts included in that lease as well. The invoice under in number is available on the schedule tab for the lease after the payment is interfaced to the receivable and process lease payment tieback process is run. So once you generate the lease from here, it will generate automatically a receivable invoice, and then you have to run the tieback process to tie back your lease accounting module with the receivable module. On this screen, you will see the information like the schedule. For example, the payment purpose for this one is cleaning. Payment type is cleaning. What is the currency? What is the period? and customer name and bill to site, revenue method, what method you selected, and amount, payment due date, what is the payment due date, what is the payment number, and also its interface. Like once you interface that one, it will generate the invoice number for you, and it will give the invoice information here as well. Next one, also there is a webinar from Oracle side on Oracle Lease Accounting recent innovation and what's next. This is the new webinar, which is on August on 2023, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And they will also discuss the lease impairment cancellation, milestones, right and obligation, and also automated liability and reclassification and revenue lease, which is the new function from Oracle site in 23C with the receivable integration. They will give the information in this webinar. If someone want to join that one, you can have the registration link here. You can register for that webinar as well. I believe it's on August 2. If it didn't change anything, which the recent information I have, it's on August 2. All right, that's all from my side. And now we have question and answer. Any question?
It looks like the questions here have been answered in the chat, but if you think of anything, please feel free to reach out to Ahmad or anyone else on the team. I just want to thank everyone for attending today's webinar, and a big thank you to Ahmad and our managed services team for answering any questions you may have had today. Please check out our website and follow us on LinkedIn at Aletheia Digital Cafe for updates about the rest of the monthly education series, other webinars and events, and more.